How I got scammed and lost $100,000. This is about Ludwig. This is 3 years ago.
The title of this video is not clickbait. I wish it was, but it's something that actually happened to me. And I thought I wasn't going to talk about it on stream because it's just kind of embarrassing, especially because the amount of money I got scammed for is so high, over $100,000 of real money that I will never see again. But I'm going to talk about it for two reasons. One, it's wildly interesting, and two, and most importantly, I've talked about the guy who scammed me in different YouTube videos and on the yard, and it turns out that some of the people who have watched my channel have actually met this guy in Vegas, and not only met him, but given him their money. Now, most of the stories I've heard aren't people who have gotten scammed, but I don't want to take a risk of having some random viewer of mine get scammed because a story I told about making a lot of money. So let me tell you a story about how I lost a lot of money and how I got scammed for over $100,000. Before you keep watching, please do me a favor. Do not try to contact this guy. Don't reach out to him. Do not harass him. It only reflects poorly on me. And at the end of this video, I'll tell you how I'm going to make sure he is never able to scam someone again. Am I understanding correctly? You actually had a good bet. The French Open, that was a good bet and you had some good tips on it. But you used that to rush me to send you all the crypto I had so you could make a bunch of bets for free.
Correct.
So you scammed me.
Yes, Ludwig, I scammed you.
Why is that why is that word so hard to say? Why is it taken in 4 months for you to say that? What's the summary for people who just joined? That guy scammed me out of about $50,000. Arguably $118,000, but depends on your point of view. How? Do I have to tell it again? All right, last time, and if Grayson doesn't pay me out today, we'll make it a fun YouTube video. We'll tell it from the top, last time, YouTube video style, okay? And chat, you just have to, just a lull W in Pog and smiley face in chat, like good old YouTube frogs. But I'll tell you it from the start, for real. There was a poker match that I put on a few months ago. It featured some amazing poker players and then also some huge creators like Mr. Beast and Ninja and XQC. So I did this poker event, and in the poker event, it was a $100,000 buy-in, which is insane. It's an insane amount of money. But surprisingly, against all odds, I won. And I won big. I won $300,000. And the way they paid me out was half in cash and half through a check. Now, like a good boy, I immediately went to my bank and I cashed the check out. So I put all the money back in my bank. But I've never held $100,000 before. And it's really fun to hold. And so when I was at the bank, I had the cash with me and I thought about putting it into my bank account. But I was like, you know what? I kind of want to just hold on to this for a little bit. And I kept it. And I really didn't do much with it. I only did like a few things that made me happy. Like I gave the people who cleaned my house like $10,000. And I gave a restaurant that I really like $1,000 as a tip. Because like that would make me happy. They're really nice. But the rest of the money I just had lying around. Until my friend Jake, my childhood friend Jake, was getting married. And he was like, hey, I'm getting married and I would love if you came out to Vegas to celebrate with me. And like, you know, I grew up with this guy. I lived with this guy. And I was like, yeah, Jake, absolutely. So I show up to Vegas, and right as I'm about to leave, I see the big stack of cash, and I'm like, I'll bring half of that. Just half of that. Let me just bring half of that. I want to very, very clearly state, I usually never gamble with that much money. Before that day, the most I had ever gambled with was $3,000, and I thought that was still insane. My heart still races when I have, you know, $100 on the line. But I brought a crazy amount of money. And I landed in Vegas a little before Jake and his friends did. And I sat down on a roulette table. And I decided to get a little crazy. I said, hey, I'm going to put $1,000 on black. If I win, it's a great weekend. It was red. And that was just the start of what this entire weekend was going to be. And I kept on losing. And it was bit by bit. It's very gradual. I was there for like a full weekend. And I gave Jake like as a wedding gift, I gave him like a 5,000 of it. But the other 45,000, I was just losing. And the last day I had $20,000. And I went to a blackjack table and I had one goal: bring it all the way back to 50,000. And you know what I did? I brought it all the way back to 50,000 dimes. aka $5,000. I lost $15,000 almost within like 30 minutes. It was actually crazy. I can't believe the things that I saw happened, but they were happening in front of me. And I felt a feeling in my chest that was, it was like someone twisted my heart. I felt so sad and demoralized. It was bad. All right. Gambling addictions are not fun. It felt terrible. And so I moved over from this high roller room where they have really big bets to a Pai Gow table. Now, you don't need to know anything about the game of Pai Gow. The only thing you do need to know is that it's a game where you don't win a lot of money and you don't lose a lot of money. It's a game that you play to sit down, chill, get some free drinks in Las Vegas, and talk, and cheer up if you've lost money playing other games. And at the table, I meet this dude. You guys might have heard this story. I've said it on a YouTube channel before. I said it on the main channel, but it's a different ending now. So I have 5,000 left, and we start talking, and he's like, hey, my name's Grayson. I'm a voice actor. And he goes, eh, and he does a SpongeBob impression. And I was like, that was a 6 out of 10 impression, but I kind of believe it. And he's like, yeah. On the side, I'm also a professional gambler. And I'm like, huh, that's crazy. He's like, yeah, I have this algorithm that can beat the game, and I'm also a really avid sports bettor. And I'm like, cool, you know, that's really interesting. And I tell him about, hey, I'm a YouTuber, and he's like, yeah, I think I might have seen you before. I'm like, yeah, I'm Ludwig, and I brought a lot of money this time, and I ended up losing it all. And Grayson does a couple nice things. Like, for one, he says, well, hey, I can try to help you gamble and win some back. And for two, I can introduce you to a guy who's a host. This guy is basically meant to give you free things if you lose all your money gambling. And I'm like, okay, well, that sounds kind of good. I lost a lot of money. So I met this guy. And I was like, well, this guy's being really nice to me. And so we gamble and we gamble. And he ends up bringing my $5,000 all the way up to $15,000. And I was like, dang, this guy kind of knows what he's doing. So right before I left Las Vegas, I gave him $6,000 because that's how much I had at the very, very end. And I said, hey, I'm going to give this to you. Very trusting. I'm going to give you this $6,000. You do whatever you can to make this bigger in a week, in a month, whatever it is. And you can take a 30% cut of any of the money you make. He's like, all right, bet. And like a couple weeks pass, and the money goes up and it goes down. And he's like, hey, there was a giant storm in Las Vegas, and they've shut down all the sports bets. But I think I have a lot of sports bets that can win. Can you send me some money on crypto? And I was like, kind of sus. But you've already been winning me a bit of money, so sure. And I send him about maybe $5,000 of crypto. And then he wins a bit. And I remember I even cashed out at one point. I was like, hey, can I cash out some of the money you've won? He's like, yeah, of course. And I cashed out $17,000. And I was like, God damn, that's not too bad. Like, that's a decent chunk of money that I just won. And I started to trust this guy a bit. And then he gambles over the next couple weeks, some wins, some losses. And eventually, I get a call. I'm playing a Valorant game. I remember this very clearly. And it's from Grayson. He's very panicked. He's stressed out. So her name is Maria, and she's a tennis player. And she's, it's like, you got it. Oh, how much money do you have? I'm like, okay, I'm in a Valorant game. I'm trying to clutch up. We got Air Coots in the building. I'm not going to try to fuck around and lose this game. I'll call you back later. Before the game even ends, I get another call from him. He's desperate. And he's like, dude, we have to do this right now. I'm like, okay, what is going on? And he's like, okay, the Women's French Open is happening right now. It's one of the biggest tennis tournaments in the world. The fourth best player in the world, Maria Sakkari, just broke up with her boyfriend. He broke up with her. She's really sad, and she wants to leave the event. So she's going to throw the second round game. And I'm there with Aiden, and he's like, and I'm like, okay, this all sounds kind of sus. And he's like, how much Bitcoin do you have? And I'm like, $0. But I have $50,000 in Ethereum. He's like, well, I think this is a surefire bet. You should send as much money as you can. So I'm like, And I literally turn to Aiden. I say, I'm going to send him everything. And Aiden's like, what? And I was like, well, it's losing its value anyway, staying in Ethereum as a cryptocurrency, one. And two, it'd be kind of a hype story if I won. And if I lose, I think I'm okay with it. Maybe not the best choice, but it was my choice. And I sent him $50,000. And then I wait. The tennis match gets delayed 2 days. I'm stressed out. I think that maybe Maria will get over her boyfriend. Eventually, I wake up. The match happened at 6 a.m. Pacific because it happened in France. And I wake up to not only Maria Sakkari losing, but losing 2-0. I immediately call Grace and I go, dude, did we win? He goes, yes. I made a $40,000 bet. You are owed $108,000. With the other $10,000 you sent, $118,000. And I'm like, dude, this is fucking crazy. At the same time that I have won, crypto also crashes. Like all of crypto immediately halves in value. So not only did I make all this money, in a way, I won 2 times. Because if it had stayed in my crypto wallet, it would have gone from 50,000 to like 20,000. It was like the luckiest thing that's ever happened to me. And so I'm like, all right, well, Grayson, can I get paid out? And he's like, okay, well, hold your horses a bit. The guy who he made the bet with doesn't have the money. I was like, what? He's like, well, yeah, he didn't think we'd win, and he doesn't have that much liquid money on hand. It's normal. And I'm like, oh, well, I don't know what I'm doing. Sure, okay. He's like, yeah, it happens. We'll just wait a bit, and he'll pay us out. I'm like, sure. Another week passes. I'm like, hey, Grayson, is the money ready? He's like, well, not yet, but I think it's getting closer. I'm like, okay. And then I go on a few trips. I think a couple weeks pass, and I finally get a text, and it's a Twitter thread. And in the Twitter thread, it talks about how this guy named Grayson scammed them out of $1,000. How they lent this guy $1,000, and then Grayson was like, hey, man, I just got beat up. I got mugged. Here's the picture of me getting mugged. They stole everything from me, my phone, my wallet. I have nothing left. Can you call me so I can explain it? And the tweet thread continues, and it says, well, hey, here's the weird part. I saw Grayson later that day, and he had 0 bruises on him at all. And they made a whole Twitter thing about it. So I call him because I got a bit nervous. The first thing I hear, boo-doo-doo, the number you were trying to reach is unavailable. Boo-doo-doo. And it's like a fucking movie scene. Time freezes, and my phone falls out of my hand. And as it's falling, I'm remembering like dozens of conversations I've had with Cutie where she's like, I don't know if I trust this guy, babe. And I'm like, dude, it's going to be fine. And everyone's like, man, you sent him that much money? And I'm like, don't worry about it. And before it hits the floor, I come to the realization I've been scammed. I spend the next couple weeks trying to understand how I've gotten myself into such a dumb position where I've been scammed out of this insane amount of money. How I can overcome the embarrassment of having gone through this. What are my next steps? And here's a problem, by the way. Getting scammed is embarrassing. When you get scammed, you are getting scammed because someone took advantage of you because you were nice or because you were dumb. In this case, I was definitely both, maybe a bit more of the latter. And usually, you're so embarrassed you do nothing about the scam. This happens to old people all the time. Now, obviously, this happened to me, so it's not exclusive to old people. What I did after I found out I got scammed is I spent 2 weeks trying to get over it, trying not to feel so bad about it, trying not to be embarrassed about it, and trying to be open and talking about it. What I never thought is, let me try to get this money back. Let me try to contact authorities. That was until my birthday came around. Now, I said Grayson did a couple nice things. One of the nice things that he did is that he linked me with one of the hosts at the Venetian. And this host was a guy whose entire job was to make people who gamble a lot of money have a good time. And one of the ways he does this is by writing down all of their birthdays and sending them a nice little text that says, happy birthday. And I got that exact text. And when I got that text, some gears started turning in my head. I was like, wait a second. He probably has Grayson's number. Yo, can you send me Grayson's number? Within 30 seconds, I have his new phone number. And I call. Bring, 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 bring. And Grayson picks up. And immediately he's kind of like nervous. He's not normally like that nervous of a guy, but he's like stammering a bit. He's like, yo, Ludwig, what's going on, man? I was like, where's my money? It's like the Stewie Griffin. Where's my money? He's like, dude, I got an insane story for you. And he tells me bar for bar this exact story. Dude, it's Grayson. I got mugged. They stole fucking so much cash from me. They stole my phone. They stole my wallet. I can't pay you out now. I'm like, what does that have to do with anything? Just give me the money I'm owed and let's go on our ways. He's like, no, man, you don't get it. Like, obviously I'm not scamming you. Why would I be talking to you right now if I was scamming you? I was like, okay, then why can't you send me the money? He's like, well, the way it works is that you find someone that you're going to gamble with, right? Like I'm just a broker. I'm not the guy who does the gambles. You have to go to like a sports betting website. And the way you talk to these sports betting websites is you talk to them like on Instagram. So I'm talking to this guy on Instagram, and then, but they stole my phone. And when they stole my phone, they logged in to my Instagram, changed the password, changed the recovery email. So now I can no longer log into my Instagram account. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, that's what happened. But at this point, I'm fed up. There's nothing that he can say that will make me believe him unless the money enters my account and then he says it. But I started asking questions. What's the email that it was before? Well, it's like my name, Grayson, starts with a G. I'm like, okay, great. Is it on Instagram? He's like, yeah. Well, hey, man, I don't trust you for shit. I think you scam me. I wish you would just admit it, but you're not going to do that. He's like, no, I'm not. I got mugged. It's like, all right, well, I'm going to go. Hang up. I immediately go to Instagram.com. I type in his username, and then I type in forgot password, send reset link. It pops up and it says email sent to. Now, if you've ever done a password reset, you might have experienced this. It'll show you the email, but only the first letter and the last letter in at whatever it is at. So I look at it, it says G ****** S at gmail.com. And I look at the thing he gave me and it matches up. G blah, 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 S at gmail.com. Ain't no fucking Y. Ain't no fucking K. Ain't no fucking way he thinks I'm going to buy this horse shit bag of lies. And so that leads us to where we are today. The authorities are getting contacted. I'm talking to other people he's scammed to get a whole report to make sure this guy never does that shit again. I'm also trying to get him banned from every casino in Vegas so he can't do it and even walk into the casino unless he can prove in the next 2 hours that he didn't do it. And we'll find out because we just talked to him on stream today and he said he has to go home to get to his crypto account to be able to send me the crypto. And that's where we're at. So what happened? Well, I talked to Grayson on the phone a couple times since telling that story, and I got him to admit that he's scamming me. I also hired a private investigator, and I think I have enough information that I can go to the FBI and even get him locked up.
Ludwig probably made
but I'm not going to do that
10 grand on this
yet. Grayson agreed to self-ban him from every casino in Las Vegas. If you don't know, you can actually send a letter to the casino, and they will ban you if you ask to get banned. I guess it's some Gamblers Anonymous thing. Now, I think this is what happened. Grayson is a gambling addict. He oversold his ability to gamble to get funds to gamble with for free. He had an overconfidence in his ability. He thought he would win, pay back the person, and use their interest-free loan to keep some of the money. That plan works until it doesn't. And he was in a really bad spot one night after losing $90,000 gambling in blackjack. The same week, he found this really good tennis bet that was a surefire hit, and he hit me up in a panic state to get me to put all my money in, which is exactly what I did. I gave him $56,000. Of the $56,000, he only bet 15. The other $41,000 he used for various other bets. Most of them failed. Maybe some won, but even those bets, he ended up gambling in blackjack anyway. So he was in a state where he had about $0 and no way to pay me my $108,000 that I was actually owed. So he came up with some elaborate lie about how he got beat up, his phone stolen, and then Instagram account changed. And if he logged into his Instagram account, the money would magically be there. But it's a lie. The money is not there. It doesn't exist. Maybe he has some money somewhere, can pay back some of it, but he'll never be able to pay back all of it unless he gambles again, which I don't want him to do, or he gets a job and works for a couple of years, which I also don't want to do. I don't want some guy to be working and giving me 10% of their paycheck. So what do? I either put the guy in jail or I publicly shame him and get him to ban himself from all casinos. I'm going to this route. And maybe you're thinking that I'm a bit soft, and maybe I am. But I don't know. I think a 23-year-old kid who fucked up and is fucking people over deserves to get what's coming for them, but also deserves the other 70 years of their life that they're going to live. And he's lucky that he fucked me over because I told him this to his face. The amount of money that he scammed me for, $100K, is the amount of money that people die for. It's the amount of money people died for in Uncut Gems. That's the whole point of the movie. But I'm a YouTuber, and thankfully, because you guys watch my videos, It is crazy to say, but I'm all right getting scammed out of $56,000 as long as he never does it again. And if he does, if you ever hear a story, if you ever interact with him and he scams you or you see him gambling, let me know, because I have the information to send to the FBI. He promised he never would. And now, Grayson, it's your turn to hold to that promise. And that's how I got scammed for over $100,000. Thanks for watching, boys. See you later.
Okay, he lost the 100, quote unquote. It is his right that it is his money or whatever. He did invest 56 that while, and then from the 56 that while, he would have actually gotten 25 that while after ETH dropped. So he technically lost 25,000. But yeah, I don't know. What are people saying? Also, this guy lost $1,000. That, like, the famous tweet went out. That cat is so chill. This is adorable, bro.